of a famous, another great Tunisian rabbi. He was born actually in the English year, Taf Resh Ayin, and he passed away in Taf Shin Nun Te. Was 1998, talking about 20 rabbi of his time, and he actually came from a rabbinic auspices. His father's name was Rav Dani Hadad, and Ben Hanania, very interesting enough, and he was born, I believe, in the year 1910 in the island of Jerba. That was a very, very famous place where there was many great Torah scholars of yesteryear there. And I think we spoke about various great rabbis from the Xadad family already here inside this series, which I very much recommend everyone to actually look into and watch over. We've got an entire series over here on the famous stories of tzaddikim, which if you look at, scroll down in the section of the websites respectively, you will actually see much to do with the Chachamim of yesteryear. Now, he was born in 1910. He became the head of the Kila. Hayai Marashe Akila was one of the heads of the Kila over there, and he was very much V'amad Barush Avada Lematan Besete Le'aniyei Hakila. So he was really doing a lot of work within regards to the needy in the community. He would very, very much be helping and so on and so forth within regards to that specific realm in of itself. Remember, Jerba in its day was a very prominent place, and it was a center of Torah for many, many years. He was known as giving, I think, they would help the community, the needy people inside the community, derech seta, within regards to not publicizing it in of itself. Now, it's interesting. There was a specific group, I believe, that contained 4 people. It was Haya Echad Ma'arba'at Chovrat Zohar Harakia. This was in Jerba in itself. Shlamdu V'katvu Perushay L'Zohar. That was over there. Now that will be actually very interesting to learn more, let's just say, within regards to that specifically over there. So that very much maybe we'll actually look into that at a later stage in time. It was, I think it was based in Jerba or in Tunisia in of its day, and it was one of the 4 people over there that was absolutely phenomenal. That's something that we'll have to point out. So I know there was also, so there is actually information, if I'm not mistaken, about the Chevrat Zorei Harakia. You can actually see it on googlebooks.com. It's actually a specific book itself. I'm not too sure if it's actually connected to Rabbi Hadad, but I think it was printed in the year 1894 in Jerba, respectively. And I'd assume that this, let's just say this group was connected, and a book was actually written previously. Remember, he was born in the year 1910. According to over here, Chevrat Zohar Harakia came out in the year 1894. So that's very interesting. Just as another interesting tidbit. I'm not too sure who was part of this Chevra in of itself, but that'll be actually interesting to know. I believe also he would also establish a printing press, a printing house over there. Beit HaTfus B'Shem Beit HaOtsar HaIvri. This would be once again in Jerba, I would assume. This was over there. I remember printing in those days. It wasn't as easy as nowadays. Obviously, in Tunisia, if I'm not mistaken. And I believe, this printing place would actually print various different books. I think actually we're going to explore some of the highlights of his book. The Beit HaOtzar HaIvri. I think his book will be printed in the year 1965, dealing with Kodesh matters in of itself, holy matters in of itself. And I can actually see the titles once again also featured on the famous Google Books. .org. I think there's other books also part of the Beit HaOtzar HaIvri. There's Rabbi Boaz. I think I'm not sure, that might have been printed in the year 1997, and that was also part of this publishing place. I think it was a response, if I'm not mistaken, on the Talmud. If I'm not mistaken, this book of the Yomer Boaz. We're going to explore a bit more within regards to this afterwards. And there was other books also featured over here. There's a lot to do with the Yomer Boaz over there, but there's also on the Beit HaOtzar HaIvri, there was other books, I think, printed over there. Something connected, I think, to the festival of Passover, which is reported over here, which might have been printed in the year 1962. We're going to check into that in a minute. And there was something else printed in the year 1951. I think, and the editions would come out, I think, at various different times, at various different books. I think something was printed in 1962, 1965, 1960, and many places also. There's an entire list over here on the section itself, respectively. So that is very, very interesting. Okay, let's continue. We're exploring about the history of famous Tunisian rabbi, a rabbi named Rabbi Boaz Hadad, everyone. So he passed away this week, 27 years ago. Please, everyone, if you're watching live at the moment, subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it. Got loads of great Torah content, and we're talking about a famous great Tunisian rabbi at the moment in the series. So please listen. Okay, so he passed away on the 26th of Tishrei in 1998. We're talking about 27 years ago. He left us with great Torah works. We mentioned about the חיבוריו, ויאמר Boaz. Now this book, the ויאמר Boaz, was put into 3 sections, shalosh חלקים. This was printed in Jerba, as I said before, through the printing press. There was another book called Lakut Zichronot. This was, and then there was another book, Jerba or Tunis. That was another book. I'm not too sure the exact dates that those books were printed respectively over there, but let's just say that is going to be actually very interesting. And yeah, I'm not too sure. There's another rabbi. I think they have actually inside one of his books of Rabbi Boaz Hadad, I think there's a Machon Shari Zvulun will actually, I think it's a Tunisian group in of itself, will actually give information over there within regards to the book, connected to various different Tunisian rabbis also. I think this was actually printed from the Sha'ashua mitzvah. This was, so I don't know if Rabbi Boaz Hadad will print it or not, but I'll say it's what it says over here in Hebrew. Maybe I'll try and transliterate it into English in the coming minute also over here. Once again, this is coming from this specific machon in of itself. So they took it actually from Rabbi Boaz Hadad's book, and they talk about over here inside the book. I think he'd spoken about a lot of histories of the Rabbonim, so we like to hear about rabbis that explored history. That's one thing that we do inside the series. It says, it's talking about here that on the Dalet Elul, where he's in Besefer Niklachat Bedaf Shel Rabbi Moshe Idan, talking about the book of Rabbi Idan. I think from Dalet Elul, Ze Macha Belayla, referring, this was written 8 years ago, within regards to memory of a great tzaddik. Rabbi Moshe Idan was a great Kabbalist who was the author of the book, the Sha'ashua Mitzvah. This was on the Tariag Mitzvot, the 613 Mitzvot. So I think this was featured actually in Rabbi Boaz Hadad's book. Keda'at Rambam B'derech Shir Im Bi'ur Katzar V'gam Mitzuref Lo Sefer Zuchot Avot ala Torah. He wrote a book called Zuchot Avot. So I think Rabbi Boaz Hadad will bring this down in his book. Hayalo Yad V'Shem B'Chochmat HaDiktuk V'Yadoeh Shesaper Lachem Bikurim Shel Rabbi Shaul Kohen Al Diktuk Uga V'Ne'arech Al Yado. B'Nosaf Lezeh Arav Katav Sparim Nosafim. So it seems that Rabbi Boaz Hadad was also a historian, where he would actually write about the great rabbis of yesteryear in Tunisia. Rabbi Nissim Idan, Rabbi David Idan, Rabbi Makhluf Idan. Remember the Idan family was another famous Tunisian rabbinic family, and we've spoken about various of those rabbanim also. Rabbi Moshe Idan, this is what Rabbi Boaz Hadad I think brought down. Haya Rishon B'Chachmei Jerba, Shamik B'Chochmat HaKabbalah, Ad Tegilata Kefi Shlamad משדרים שבאו לג'רבה והיה מכון בכוונת הרשש זכר צדיק לברכה. נינו מר מיכאל עידן מספר מה ששמע מאבי אמו רבי ניסים עידן שהיה שכינם המונח מתוק בשירי מבקר אצלם בכל אל פסח, לאחר אמירת הסדר. פעם אחת כשהגיעו לשפוך חמתך מתוק, הגיע עד הדלת, הבעל ניסוק אחרונית. כששאלו אותו למחרת למה הוא לא בא כרגלו, הסביר להם שראה אש אוכלה סובבה על הבית של הרב יריצי לפנס. כשהגיע הדברים לאוזנו של רבי משה עידן, לחש לו, זכית בני זכית, אל תגלה לאיש, וזה מרוב הכוונה. הכתובות בסידור הרשש, שהיה מכיוון הרב בליל צדה היה, מעריך מאוד בסודתו בקריאת ההגדה. So this actually information on the Idan family over here, about especially connected to the famous work of Rabbi Shalom Shrabi, the Rashash HaKadosh, was very much featured in Rabbi Boaz Hadad's book over here, one of the books in of itself that will actually bring down his teachings in of itself. Now the Yalkut Zichronot, if I'm not mistaken, you can actually see, I'm actually looking at the moment of a picture of the book itself. I think you can see it on the internet. It's called the Yalkut Zichronot Ma'orot Sipurim Mi'adut Jerba, Tunis, Veluv, also of Libya. So he's chronicling over some of the great stories of some of the great rabbis that actually came from Tunisia of yesteryear inside his Torah colossal work. So that's very, very interesting. And yeah, let's explore a few of the highlights from his book over here. The Hayami website now, once again, we are using as a resource over here with regards to some of the quotes of the book. Now, from the Shem Yosef book, I think there was in Daf Lamed Bet, in page number 42, he would actually write. This book was actually written or published in the year 1950 of it. Now, friends, anyone watching at the moment, we're exploring the history of a famous Tunisian rabbi. So I'm asking you all, please, if you can subscribe to the channel, we'll really appreciate it now. Okay, so what does it teach inside this book? So please subscribe. מלמד, שבכלל מצוות תלמוד תורה, לכבד את התורה ולנשקה. The importance of Talmud Torah, he teaches over here. Now, honoring it, it's like honoring the Torah and kissing it. That's how great it is. Another teaching he gives over here. מלמד, אלבון חיבורי התורה, הגנוזים בלי הדבסה. This actually comes from Chelek Sheni of the ויאמר Boaz book, the great book in of itself. And I think it's a connection to the introduction of the Sefer in of itself. Maybe it was actually connected or printed through Rav Kamasoni ben Alush Kabbalah, if I'm not mistaken. It was in Jerba in the year 1953. So that is very interesting. Now another teaching says, Melamed, Lemigdal yatum betoch beito, shechavavo kebnei beito, bli evresh. This, I think, comes from Amud Bet, I think from page number 28 of the book, from the Shem Yosef, respectively. Once again, I think it was printed through Idan Cohen Saban Hadad. It was several of the great rabbis. It was printed in Jerba in the year 1950. Another teaching he actually gives over, I think on page number 25, it was stated in the Shem Yosef book, Rabbi Boaz Hadad, once again printed. This was in 1950. Melamed, Shevach Ayom Ben Yisrael Yotzim Bedegel Magen David. The importance that today, in those days it was, about Eretz Yisrael, how it's got the Magen David on it. And we see that the Magen David very much is featured there. Now everyone that's tuning in at the moment, please subscribe to the channel at the moment. We've got loads of great content over here on this channel itself, where we explore the history of great rabbis of yesteryear, great sites of Israel, and it's all for free. So just asking you kindly if you can please subscribe, everyone that is live on the channel. And we're exploring the history of Rabbi Boaz Hadad, who was a great Tunisian rabbi. It happens to be his 27 years since he passed away this week, in 3 days time from time of recording. We're exploring some of the teachings he actually taught in his great books. Now again, from the Chelek Sheni of ויאמר Boaz, I think on Amud, page 108, he teaches over מלמד יסוד כל קיום אומתנו הוא בזכות האחדות. The importance that there is within regards to unity for Am Yisrael. That's one of the foundations, let's just say, of faith of the Jewish people over here. This teaching was printed, I believe, in the year 1953, if I'm not mistaken. Now, another teaching he will give away over here, which is from Chelek Sheni, actually the second Chelek of ויאמר Boaz. The once again was printed through Rav Kamasoni ben Alush Kabbalah, if I'm not mistaken, in 1953. משבח היהודים בעלי העמדה. שחוכמתם מביאה חיים לעולם. You know, the greatness of the praise of the great rabbis in of itself. That's what basically this book is actually very much advocating for over here. So very interesting. And we're exploring about the famous books of Rabbi Boaz Hadad, who was very famous. He was a printer at that point in time. He was, I think he would write other books also, if I'm not mistaken. And the Hadad family was a famous rabbinic family that were from Tunisia at that stage in time, which is spoken about on various occasions before, which you have to point out. So he was set up the Beit HaTfus, Beit HaOtzah HaIvri. He would be part of this Perush LeZohar, the Zohar Harakiya, this great group in itself, and was born in 1910 and passed away in 1998. So that would have made him about 88 years of age at the time the great rabbi had passed away. So that's very interesting. His book was printed obviously in Jerba also. Actually spells his name over here in I think in English Bouaz Hadad. It says Imperia Liberaya in Jerba in Tunisia over there. And actually, this is over here in the preface of the book. I'm looking at actually at the moment as we speak the Sefer ויאמר Boaz Chelek Sheni, the second section of the book. בו יבוא ברינה חידושי תלמוד. It's teaching various teachings in regards to the Talmud itself, Vilukutei Torah, different parts of the Torah, and the Nevi'im and Ketuvim. So his book over here, the ויאמר Boaz, will bring about teachings from 5 books of Moses, from the Nevi'im, the prophets, and the writings from the Ketuvim also. Drushim divrei musar. You give away ethical teachings also in this book. Vod ashecha ne'elokim b'mei norai. Yehi ratzon she'aleh lelech nichoach lifnei avi shebashmayim. Over there. And he mentions Hamachaber Boaz ben Dani Hadad. His father was a rabbi, Rabbi Dani Hadad also. So it would be great to actually learn more within regards to him also. And yeah, that will be absolutely fantastic over here. So friends, we're a community here. Please subscribe to the channel. We're nearing 7,500 subscribers, so I really appreciate it. If you could all subscribe, we've got fantastic content on this channel here. So what are we recording here? On this channel, we record tours all over this fantastic country of Israel. We go around, we explore various different archaeological places. Now, one thing we're doing, we're trying to formulate an encyclopedia on the history of great Sephardi Oriental rabbis of yesteryear. So another famous rabbi we're speaking about today is Rabbi Boaz Hadad, who was a great rabbi in Jerba in Tunisia. Remember, Jerba in Tunisia was an island of Torah place. It was where there was a rich Torah heritage and rabbinic heritage in of itself of yesteryear, and we've spoken about many great rabbis that were from Jerba originally. Now, I'm not too sure what happened towards the end of his life, if he moved to Eretz Israel or not. I know there were waves of Aliyah coming all throughout the time period. We know at the early 1970s it became unbearable for the Jewish community in certain parts of Tunisia with the anti-Semitism, especially after the Six-Day War in 1967. So we've spoken about that on various occasions before inside this series. So that's very interesting. Now, the what's interesting is this the rabbinic structure over here. The Hadad family was a famous family, I believe, not just in Tunisia, I think also in Yemen. So that can't be confused, the two families in of itself. The two families. So people sometimes wait, hold on 10 minutes time, okay? 5 minutes. Okay, sorry about that, just interruption over there. So there were two famous Hadad families. There was a famous Hadad family that was based in Tunisia and a famous Hadad family that was based also in Yemen. So seemingly the Hadad family in Tunisia was a very great rabbinic let's just say dynasty in of itself, where they featured many great rabbis of yesteryear. So we have to also point that out also. Now, on this channel also, we are exploring the history with regards to the famous synagogues inside the various different Sephardic countries, Ottoman places also. We are exploring what were the famous yeshivot also, or even current days that are actually standing in Eretz Israel at the moment, or what were standing of yesteryear in all different countries. We've already spoken about a good 25, 30 yeshivot, and we hopefully are going to get a breadth around that also inside this series. Another thing at the moment we are doing a special series is we're exploring the history of the Jewish communities in various countries, which many people don't necessarily talk about. We've recorded a video on if you look at the channel over here and you subscribe, you will see a video on the history of the Jewish community in Afghanistan. You'll see a historic video of the Jewish community in Pakistan. We spoke about India, Indonesia, Iran, and various other places, Macedonia, Bosnia, Greece. So we are Latvia. I think we've spoken about Malta also, Kosovo, really countries people don't really speak about. So that's another really exciting project that we're working on at the moment, and we're really going from strength to strength over here, and that can't be ignored at its peril. That's one thing for sure also. Let's speak a bit now just for a minute about the famous Jewish community of Jerba. I really hope at one stage in time we will be able to maybe record a video on the history of Tunisian Jewry, and possibly also the history of the Jewish community of Tunisia as a whole, to do a whole thing. Because Rabbi Boaz Hadad was from Jerba, so we know that during his time period, I think there were many great rabbis that were, I think, spoken about all throughout the various different points in time. I want to point out one more thing about Jerba itself, because we talked about Rabbi Boaz Hadad having a printing press over there. I think the quality of Jewish books printed in Jerba, it says here, since the 20th century establishment of the printing press has been remarked as exceptional. So that would probably also be Rabbi Boaz Hadad's printing press. There are no less apparently reported over than 600 books published for a population that never exceeded 4,500 people. Their books were primarily intended for the local community as well as other Jewish communities in southern Tunisia and Maghreb. So it'll be interesting to know if Rabbi Boaz Hadad's books actually made it to other countries. Also, I'd assume it was. Some were written by professional scholars, many were also written by regular artisans itself, respectively. And the community had to import religious works, I think, via trading necessary for the study of Judaism. That was before the printing press had come about in Jerba. Now, they had to outsource printing, I think, to Livorno at one stage in times, in Italy, or even as far as in old Palestine there. I think it was actually interesting. We mentioned about Idan family. Rabbi David Idan in 1903, he had a connection, I think, the Idan family, as I mentioned before, very strongly to Rabbi Boaz Hadad. They had the first printing press installed, and it was popular, especially through the 90s. Remember, during the 1930s, when it became popular, Rabbi Boaz Hadad was in his 20s at that point in time. The works of sages of previous generations in the region were also published, and there were as many as 5 printing presses that belonged to Jews on the island. So I would assume Rabbi Boaz Hadad was one of those 5 printing presses over here, if I'm not mistaken, over here. And it also says most books were published either in Hebrew or in Judeo-Tunisian Arabic. And I think currently in the 1980s even, there were still 2 Hebrew printing presses. I'm not too sure what happened to Rabbi Boaz Hadad's one. So if anyone knows more information within regards to him, that will be actually very, very interesting to know. Now, it's actually interesting. I think the population of Jerba, where Rabbi Boaz Hadad was living in, when he was alive very much, when he was in 1909, 1 year before he was born, there was 3,000 people living there. As time came on, especially in the 1920s, 1930s, it fluctuated between 4,000 up to as much as 4,300, up to nearly, and went down to around 2,000. Now, apparently, by the year 2003, there were as 700 people that were living in Jerba at that stage in time in Tunisia. So that is very, very interesting in itself. And the Jewish population, I think, what it was actually in Jerba was actually divided between 2 stud farms, villages that remained exclusively Jewish until the 20th century. Now, we've spoken about 2 other places before. There was a Hara Sihira, it was a small quarter called Dijit, which wasn't far from Jerba, and Hara Kibira, which we've spoken about before also, which is a large district also. That was very, very much in Jerba. And yeah, so that's very, very interesting. And much history. So hopefully at one stage in time, we are going to speak about them. I think they had as many as 20 synagogues when the population was 4,500. So I'm not too sure which synagogue Rabbi Boaz Hadad was actually affiliated to. That would be very, very interesting to know. But please, if anyone knows more about it, please let me know. Friends, anyone that's joining in, we're exploring the history of a great Tunisian rabbi, Rabbi Hadad, Boaz Hadad over here. Please subscribe to the channel now. We are nearing 7,500 subscribers. We're trying to get to that by next week. So please, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel. We've got great content, Jewish wisdom content over here. You won't regret it over here. So anyone that's live at the moment, welcome to our family over here at the moment. And we've explored the life of a famous Tunisian rabbi, Rabbi Boaz Hadad, who had a printing press in his time, and marks his Hilula over here very much this week. At the moment, here on the 26th of Tishrei, obviously we've come out to the festival of Sukkot, Jewish festival over here in Israel. It still happens to be in the diaspora, the Jewish festival of Sukkot. So that's very, very interesting. So yeah, that's. I think just a bit more information about the Viamer Boaz book. Apparently, it was printed according to the HebrewBooks.org website in the year 1948. Now, this apparently has 211 pages. It was printed, as I said before, in Jerba, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was a Latin publication, if it wasn't. And actually, what's interesting is we've actually got now over here, I've managed to get the different haskamot to the book over here, which is actually stated over here. We'll just read over here. Thanks to I've actually got a picture now of the Chelek Aleph, the first part of the book, before I saw the picture of the second Chelek of the book. It says a haskamot, the people that recommend the book include Rabbi Yosef Buchritz, who was another famous rabbi we've spoken about on various occasions before. Rabbi Rachamim Chai Chayuta, he was another great rabbi in Tunisia. He gave his recommendation. And Hananiah HaKohen, another really great rabbi of Tunisia. Rabbi Kalfon Moshe HaKohen. Rabbi, he passed away in the year 1950. He was arguably one of the most famous rabbis in Tunisian history, without a doubt. And we spoke about him on various occasions before. Now, more. I think the Chelek Aleph, the first part of the book, was given a recommendation through Rabbi Mordechai Kamos Amayas, who was another great rabbi of his day. Very interesting. And Rabbi Yitzchak HaKohen. I think I'm not too sure. I think he gave the recommendation in Chavchev Kislev in Tavshin Chet, if I'm not mistaken, in the Chelek Aleph. Now there was, I think, in Chelek Aleph of the book itself, he talked about various different code of Jewish law within regards to kashrut. The topic Isur V'Heter Ta'aruvot, which was done in the order of the Simanim, which Maran, Rabbi Yosef Karo, would give in the Code of Jewish Law in Shulchan Aruch. This was very interesting. You'd actually start Hilchot Ta'aruvot from chapter 98 until 111 over there. That's something which we recommend also for people to learn about. And I think other rabbis would also give maybe appropriation also to the book. I think Rav Shlomo Mazog, if I'm not mistaken, שני חידושים אשר נמצאו כתובים בחומש של חתוני רב מאמו נון עין. So I'm not too sure what that actually stands for over here. Also, חידושים on Shulchan Aruch, it features very much on various different places. There's also the various laws within regards to treifot and so on and so forth. So the rabbis, once again, that will give the appropriation to this book was Rabbi Mordechai Kamus Amayas, Rabbi Yitzchak HaKohen, Rabbi Rachmim Chai Chayuta, Rabbi Bar Chanina HaKohen. It's a very, very famous book, once again, of Rabbi Boaz Hadad from Jerba, one of the great rabbis of his time. And I'll say what the preface actually says to the book of the Rabbi Boaz also. Bo yavo kol dinei tarvot mesoreh ad simanei maran b'shulchan aruch. Yoredeh mitchilat siman tzadik chet ad sof Kuf Yud Aleph comes from chapters begin 98 to 111. Asher lamati l'kutmei misparei harishonim v'achronim v'kimat kalul b'tocho kol divrei haposkim harishonim v'achronim milchot taruvot. So it will be very interesting actually to learn this book. And he actually says on the preface of it, V'ani tvila ki ya'aleh l'ratzon lifnei avinu shebashmaim lakama shechinata mapara uba l'tzion ni'al bet Aleph. It says na'im haktuv v'chatom aval elokim Hadal Ishum B'yom Rosh Chodesh Shvat. So seemingly it was printed actually in the new Hebrew month of Shvat at that specific stage in time. So very, very interesting. And I think we've got more writings within regards to Rabbi Boaz ben Rabbi Dani Hadad, respectively, inside the series, which I recommend everyone to look more into, respectively. So they actually state over here, there's a lot of information you can actually find about him on the internet. It would be great to know more within regards to Rabbi Dani Hadad. I'd love to hear more information if anyone has got on offer over here. There was, as I said before, the Hadad family was a great family. I think actually his book was actually bidded, I think, recently, or auctioned. I think from the bid website, there's bidspirit.com, which actually has his book over here. And I think, very, very interesting. So yeah, you can actually see on various places the actual preface to the book in of itself. So I recommend that from everyone else. So please, everyone tuning in, we've got 158 people watching live. We don't usually have that. Please subscribe now to the channel and join our community over here and learn more about the great rabbis of yesteryear. And please write comments also. Let me know where you're actually watching the video from. Let me know more information about yourself, and please subscribe to the channel. We're on the third day of Sukkot. Yeah, go. And the third day of Sukkot. I'm just going to take a short 1 minute break over here, and actually we're gonna have to call it today over here for this channel. So please subscribe and have a great day. Thanks for watching, and watch this space for more great content of Jewish wisdom. Thank you, everyone. Appreciated.